Okay, hey guys, let's talk a little bit about stuffing. So stuffing is probably one of my favorite things to have over the holidays, and my dad is really well known for adding a ton of butter to pretty much everything that he makes um, for the Thanksgiving and Christmas, dishes. And when I cook, I like to cook so that I remember what to put in the ingredients without having to look up a recipe, right? Just like keep things like simple, whole numbers, like whole foods. But this like Martin's potato bread soft cube stuffing actually has a pretty decent recipe on the package. But there's a bunch of halvesies and 6 to 8. Like, no, I just like to kind of round things up a little bit, especially with stuffing because I cannot understand the people who pretty much eat just the bread with like stock and butter or something like that. Like, like I like to have less bread and more of the good stuff that goes in it. You know what I mean? Anyways, I used one package of this Martin's potato bread stuffing. Actually, I kind of like mixed it up because I had this like wheat and white like laying around, so I kind of put both in, but it doesn't really matter. Seasoned or not seasoned, you want to like heavily season stuffing for sure. So I used one package of the stuffing mix. I used 1 pound of Bob Evans breakfast sausage, which let me tell you, that's like a secret ingredient. Okay, that's something that my dad always used. I grew up using. If you don't have a Bob Evans near you, you might be able to find this in your grocer's frozen or refrigerated aisle. I used 2 whole onions. So these are on the smaller side, so I would say use 2 small to medium onions or one like really, really big onion. Use 1 small package of mushrooms, and let me say, for those vegetarians out there who like to think mushrooms are a substitute for like meat or whatever, so here's, okay, kind of, but I was like, do I add more sausage? Like 2 pounds of sausage, like might be a little overkill. So I was like, you know what? I usually like to add mushrooms, so I'm gonna use like 1 small package, and I'm gonna cut up so small, like no one's gonna know it's in there. I have a non-mushroom lover in the house, so he's not even gonna know it's in there. Now he will. All right, so back onto the list of ingredients. I'm like having a debacle about using a half a head of, or half a like whole stalk of celery, or a whole one. So far I put a half of one in there, but I might mix in another half. It's like I'm having a dilemma about it. Like I'm really weird like that. Like, what do I do about the celery? Do I use it or do I not use it? I kind of want to use it because I'm on this like whole, a whole onion, a whole like thing of celery, just like make things easy. And then eggs. So about a half up, one of these. And so far I've got 2 eggs in there. I might up that to 4 because, you want your stuffing to be pretty wet. And this is just wet enough. So I'm thinking I might need to add more stock. I might need to add more eggs. Eggs is, I think, a secret ingredient for stuffing. You don't typically see it on a package in the recipe, but what it does is it binds things. So I like the crispy outside for stuffing, but I really prefer like kind of the congealed, like almost like bread pudding consistency in stuffing. It's really good. Same thing with adding like sausage and mushrooms. You might add a couple other secret ingredients. Like I put nuts in it one year, which I thought was really, really nice because everything's pretty like soft in there. You could add some dried cranberries. That would be really good. But basically the key for me is you want to keep your stuffing mix pretty wet. You definitely want to use more than enough butter, so at least a stick. You want to use at least 2 eggs. I'm leaning towards 4. But there is quite a lot of fat in this recipe, which is going to add flavor, and it's going to add moisture. And if you kind of go with what's on the recipe of most stuffing mixes, it's going to be pretty dry. I mean, maybe I like it that way, but I tend to think that's probably not the case. So I'm going to put this in the oven a lot later, so I'll kind of show you everything when it comes out. So that's kind of my 5-minute recipe on stuffing mix. Hopefully you learned something a little bit new. Don't forget to season your food really, really well. Thanks.